After working 5 jobs to pay her millionaire dad's debts, she overheard him brag about his personal slave. Jennifer stood frozen in the hallway of her father's penthouse, her hand hovering over the brushed gold door handle, her entire body swaying like a tree in a storm. It was 11:47 at night. She had been awake since 3:30 that morning. She had clocked into her hospital shift as a patient aide at 5 a.m., spent 8 hours lifting bodies twice her size, cleaning bedpans, and smiling through the exhaustion. Then she'd peeled off her scrubs in the car, threw on a wrinkled polo, and drove 17 minutes across town to her second job cashier at a big box grocery store from 2:30 to 6. No break. Just scanning items and swallowing the ache in her lower back. After that, she delivered food orders until 9 p.m., driving her battered Honda through traffic, up apartment stairs, smiling at customers who didn't tip. Then she'd gone straight to her overnight cleaning gig at a corporate office building, vacuuming floors and scrubbing toilets until just after 11. 5 jobs. She worked 5 jobs. Her feet throbbed inside her worn-out sneakers, the same pair she'd been wearing for 8 months because she couldn't afford new ones. Her shoulders felt like someone had poured cement into the joints. Her eyes burned, dry and red-rimmed, like she'd been staring into smoke. But she had made it home. Home. She could shower, maybe eat something, sleep for 4 hours, and do it all again tomorrow. Jennifer reached for the door to the small guest room. Her father had given her the room at the far end of the penthouse, tucked away like an afterthought, and that's when she heard his voice. Lawrence's voice. It came through the crack of his office door, 20 feet down the hall, loud, booming, casual. The way it used to sound when she was a little girl, and he'd visit once a year with gifts and promises. Back when she thought he was a king. Back before she knew what kings really do to people. "Man, I'm telling you, I got it made," Lawrence said. Jennifer froze. She heard other voices in the background. Men, laughter. He had someone on speakerphone. "Your daughter still helping you out?" one of the voices asked. "Helping?" Lawrence laughed deep, amused, proud. "She's doing everything. Hospital job, grocery store, food delivery, cleaning offices at night, freelance gigs on the weekend. 5 jobs, bro. 5. The other men whistled. Someone said, "Damn!" And you just let her. Let her. Lawrence took a sip of something. Jennifer could hear the ice clink against glass. Probably that $100 whiskey he'd just bought while she drank tap water from a reused bottle. "I told her I'm drowning in debt, told her the business is on life support, told her I need her help just until I get back on my feet. And she believed you?" "Of course she did." Lawrence's voice dripped with satisfaction. "She's been trying to earn my love since she was 6 years old. I show up after 10 years, play the 'I'm sorry, I failed you' card, and boom, she's working herself half to death, thinking she's saving her old man." The men laughed again. Jennifer's hand slipped off the door handle. Her purse fell from her shoulder and hit the hardwood floor with a dull thud. No one inside the office heard it. "So what do you actually do with the money?" another voice asked. "Whatever I want," Lawrence said, his tone light, careless. "New car last month. Took Simone to Turks and Caicos 2 weeks ago. Got another girl I'm seeing in Miami. Jennifer thinks every dollar she makes goes to bills. She's so tired she doesn't even check the accounts anymore. She just works, deposits, works, deposits, like a hamster on a wheel." "Bro, that's cold." "Cold?" Lawrence scoffed. "That's smart. I'm not about to break my back working when I've got a personal slave who thinks she's being a good daughter." The words hit Jennifer like a fist to the throat. Personal slave. Her knees buckled. She grabbed the wall to keep from falling. Her chest felt like someone had reached inside and crushed her heart with both hands. She backed away from the door. 1 step. 2 steps. Her vision blurred. Her breath came fast and shallow, but she couldn't make a sound. She pressed her palm over her mouth to keep the sob from escaping. Before we get deep into today's story, please let me know in the comment where you're watching from. Hit subscribe if you're hooked in and ready to enjoy the story, because tomorrow I have another beautiful story to share with you, and I don't want you to miss it for anything. Once again, you're welcome to Mr. Paul's Stories, where we weave our dreams and hearts together through the magic of stories. Now, let's begin today's story. 3 years. 3 years she had been doing this. 3 years since Lawrence had shown up at her apartment with tears in his eyes, saying he'd made mistakes, saying the business he'd built had collapsed, saying he had debts, serious debts, and he didn't know what to do, saying he was ashamed to ask, but she was the only one he could trust. "I know I wasn't there for you growing up," he'd said, voice breaking. "I know I failed you and your mother, but I'm trying to be better, and I need help, just for a little while, just until I get back on my feet." And she had believed him. She had loved him. She had thought, "This is my chance. This is how I prove I'm worth keeping." So she took on a second job, then a third, then a fourth, then a fifth. She wore the same rotation of 4 outfits because she couldn't afford anything new. She cut her own hair in the bathroom mirror with kitchen scissors. She gave up her gym membership, her book club, her weekly calls with her best friend Shayna. She stopped going to church because she was too exhausted to stay awake during service. She hadn't seen her mother in over a year because she couldn't afford the gas to drive 2 hours to visit her. She ate dollar menu burgers and instant ramen while Lawrence ordered sushi and steaks. She slept 4 hours a night while he slept until noon, and he had been laughing at her. He had been calling her his slave. He had been using her money to take women on vacation. Jennifer stumbled backward into the guest bathroom and locked the door behind her. She sank onto the closed toilet seat, her whole body shaking. Her hands were trembling so badly she could barely hold her phone. She stared at the screen. At the banking app she checked every morning. The joint account her father had insisted they open, "So we can keep things transparent." She opened it. Balance, $640. Her paycheck from yesterday, her hospital check. She'd deposited it last night on her way home. But this morning, there had been $1,100 in the account. She scrolled to the transaction history. Transfer to Lawrence Amy personal account, $460. He'd taken it while she was working. Jennifer scrolled further. Transfer after transfer, hundreds of dollars, thousands, weeks and months of her life, stolen one paycheck at a time. Her throat tightened, her stomach turned. She thought she might throw up, but instead she opened her text messages. She scrolled to the thread with her friend Shayna, the one she hadn't replied to in 3 months. Shayna's last message was from February. "You okay? Haven't heard from you in forever. I'm worried about you, Jen." Jennifer's thumbs hovered over the keyboard. She didn't know what to say. She didn't even know what she felt. Rage? Shame? Heartbreak? All of it? But one feeling rose above the rest, sharp and cold and clear. "I'm done." Jennifer closed the text thread. She opened her email. She typed 4 words into the search bar. "Divorce lawyer recommendations." "No. Wait." She deleted it. Typed again. "Family law attorney exploitation." A name popped up. Melissa Ornette, Esquire. A lawyer Shayna had mentioned once, years ago, when her cousin got out of an abusive marriage. Jennifer opened a new email. Her hands were steadier now. Her mind was sharper. She began to type. Subject: Consultation. Request financial exploitation by family member. Dear Ms. Ornette, my name is Jennifer Amy. I am 28 years old. For the past 3 years, I have been financially supporting my father under the belief that I was helping him recover from business losses and debt. Tonight, I discovered that he has been lying to me. He is not in debt. He has been using my income to fund a lifestyle of luxury, while I work 5 jobs and sacrifice everything. I need help separating my finances from his. I need to know my legal options. And I need to make sure he can never do this to me or anyone else again. Please let me know your availability. Sincerely, Jennifer Amy. She read it 3 times. Then she pressed send. The whoosh sound felt like a door slamming shut on the past. Jennifer stood up. She looked at herself in the mirror. Her eyes were red. Her hair was pulled into a tangled bun. Her scrubs were stained. She looked like someone who'd been run over by life. But she didn't feel that way anymore. She felt awake. For the first time in 3 years, Jennifer wasn't running toward her father's approval. She was running away from his prison. And she was never looking back. Jennifer just discovered the man she sacrificed everything for has been using her like a tool, not loving her like a daughter. Have you ever given everything to someone who saw you as convenient, not valuable? Drop a comment and let's talk about it. You're not alone. Jennifer didn't sleep that night. She lay on the narrow guest bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to the hum of the air conditioner and the distant sound of her father's laughter still echoing in her mind. Every hour, she heard him move through the penthouse, the refrigerator opening, the bathroom door closing, the heavy footsteps of a man who had no worries, no guilt, no conscience. At 3:30 a.m., her alarm went off. Time to get ready for her hospital shift. Jennifer sat up slowly. Her body screamed in protest. Her feet were swollen. Her back was stiff. But she got up anyway. She pulled on her scrubs. She twisted her hair into a bun. She grabbed her keys. And as she walked quietly through the dark penthouse, past her father's closed bedroom door, past the office where he had destroyed her, she whispered 6 words to herself. I will never carry you again. She didn't know what would happen next. But she knew one thing for certain. The woman who left that penthouse at 4 a.m. was not the same woman who had entered it the night before. And Lawrence Amy was about to find out exactly what it cost to call your daughter a slave. The drive to the hospital took 30 minutes. Jennifer had made this drive so many times she could do it with her eyes closed. She had done it with her eyes closed last month. She'd nodded off at a red light and jolted awake to someone honking behind her. Now, as the city blurred past her window in the pre-dawn darkness, Jennifer's mind wasn't on the road. It was 3 years ago. 3 years ago, on a Tuesday afternoon in September, Jennifer had been living in a small 1-bedroom apartment on the south side, working as a full-time medical billing coordinator at the hospital. It wasn't her dream job, but it paid the bills. She had friends. She went to yoga twice a week. She video-called her mother every Sunday. She was fine. Not happy, not fulfilled, but fine. And then Lawrence showed up. She came home from work that day and found him sitting on the steps outside her building. At first, she didn't recognize him. It had been 10 years since she'd seen him in person. 10 years since he'd walked out on her and her mother, without explanation, without apology, without a backward glance. But there he was, older, grayer, wearing an expensive suit that looked slightly wrinkled like he'd been traveling. Jennifer, he said, standing up slowly. His voice cracked. I know I don't deserve to be here. I know I have no right to ask you for anything, but I didn't know where else to go. She should have walked past him. She should have kept her keys in her hand, gone inside, locked the door. But she didn't, because when she looked at him, she didn't see the man who had abandoned her. She saw the father she used to wait for by the window every Friday night when she was 6 years old, believing this time he'd show up for dinner like he promised. She saw the man whose approval she'd spent her whole childhood chasing. What do you want? She asked, her voice flat. Can we talk? Lawrence asked. Just for a few minutes, please. Against every instinct, she let him in. They sat at her small kitchen table. He didn't touch the coffee she made him. He just stared at it, his hands folded like he was praying. I made mistakes, he said quietly. Big ones. I built a business, a good business, but I got greedy. I made bad investments. I trusted the wrong people. And now, his voice broke. He covered his face with his hands. Now I'm drowning, Jennifer. I'm about to lose everything. Why are you telling me this? She asked. Because you're the only family I have left. He looked up at her, and his eyes were wet. Your mother won't speak to me. My brother's dead. I burned every bridge I ever had. And I know I don't deserve your help. I know that. But I'm asking anyway. Jennifer's chest tightened. How much do you owe? A lot, he whispered. Enough that if I don't pay it back in the next 6 months, I'll lose the house, the cars, everything. I'll be on the street. She didn't say anything. I'm not asking you to fix it, Lawrence said quickly. I'm not asking you to save me. I need time. I need help getting back on my feet, just until I can rebuild. And I thought maybe this could be a chance for us to rebuild too, as father and daughter. There it was, the thing she'd wanted her whole life. A father who saw her, who needed her, who wanted her around. Jennifer looked at him, and all she could see was the little girl she used to be, the one who set the table for 3 every Friday, even though he never showed. The one who made him Father's Day cards he never opened. The one who told herself, if I'm just good enough, smart enough, helpful enough, maybe he'll stay. I'll help you, she heard herself say. Lawrence's face lit up. Really? Just until you're stable again, Jennifer said. 6 months. That's it. 6 months, he agreed. He reached across the table and took her hand. His grip was warm, firm. Thank you, baby girl. You have no idea what this means to me. She should have heard the lie in his voice. But all she heard was, baby girl, the name he used to call her before he left. Her mother knew better. 2 weeks later, Jennifer told her mother she'd started helping Lawrence financially. The silence on the other end of the phone was deafening. Jennifer, her mother finally said, her voice tight. That man is poison. Mama, he's trying. He is using you, her mother interrupted. Just like he used me. Just like he's used every woman he's ever known. He doesn't love you, baby. He loves what you can do for him. You don't know that. I know him. Her mother's voice softened, but the warning stayed sharp. And I know you. You've been trying to earn his love since you were a little girl, but you can't earn something he's not capable of giving. Jennifer's throat burned. I'm not a little girl anymore. Then stop acting like one, her mother said. Stop hoping he'll turn into the father you deserved. He won't. And if you keep giving him pieces of yourself, there won't be anything left when you finally realize it. Jennifer hung up. She told herself her mother was wrong. She told herself Lawrence had changed. She told herself 6 months would be enough. But 6 months turned into a year. And 1 job turned into 2. Then 3. Then 5. Every time Jennifer tried to pull back, Lawrence had another crisis. Another bill. Another emergency. Another, I'm so close to turning this around, I just need a little more time. And every time, he looked at her with those tired, grateful eyes and said, I don't know what I'd do without you. So she stayed. She worked. She sacrificed. She gave up yoga, gave up her friends, gave up sleep. She stopped calling her mother because she couldn't stand the disappointment in her voice. And Lawrence? He got better at pretending, better at playing the struggling father, better at making her feel like she was the only thing standing between him and ruin. But last night, she'd heard the truth. Last night, she'd heard him laugh and call her his slave. Jennifer pulled into the hospital parking lot and turned off the engine. She sat there in the silence, staring at the building where she'd worked for 5 years. Her phone buzzed. A text from Lawrence. Morning, sweetheart. Don't forget to pick up my dry cleaning on your lunch break. Thanks. You're the best. Jennifer stared at the message. Then she deleted it. She opened her email and saw the reply from Melissa Ornette, Esquire. Subject: Consultation request. Hi Jennifer. I have availability Thursday at 4 p.m. Let's talk. Bring any financial documents you have access to. You're not alone in this. Melissa. Jennifer closed her eyes. For the first time in 3 years, she felt something other than exhaustion. She felt hope, and she felt rage, and she was going to use both to burn his lies to the ground. Jennifer made it through her hospital shift on autopilot. She smiled at patients. She processed insurance claims. She answered phone calls from people demanding to know why their bills were so high. She did everything she was supposed to do, but her mind was somewhere else. It was back in that penthouse, back in that hallway, back in the moment she heard her father call her his slave. By the time her shift ended at 2 p.m., Jennifer had made a decision. She wasn't going to her second job today. For the first time in over a year, she called in sick to the grocery store. Her manager sounded annoyed, but Jennifer didn't care. She had something more important to do. She had to know the truth. Lawrence's penthouse was empty when she arrived at 2:30. He'd texted her that morning saying he had a business lunch and wouldn't be back until evening. Jennifer knew what that meant. It meant he was out spending her money while she worked herself into the ground. But today, that worked in her favor. Jennifer stood in the hallway outside Lawrence's home office and stared at the closed door. Her father had always been very clear. This room was off limits. "I need privacy for my work," he'd said. "I'm dealing with sensitive business matters." "I'm sure you understand." She had understood. She had respected his boundaries. She had never questioned him. But that was before she knew he'd been lying to her for 3 years. Jennifer turned the handle. The door opened. The office was exactly what she expected. Sleek, modern, expensive. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, a massive oak desk, leather chairs. Shelves lined with books Lawrence had probably never read. But it was also a mess. There were empty glasses on the side table, newspapers scattered across the floor, a half-eaten plate of takeout sitting on the windowsill, the food rotting. This wasn't the office of a man drowning in debt. This was the office of a man who didn't care. Jennifer walked to the desk and opened the first drawer. Papers, receipts, business cards from restaurants she'd never heard of. She opened the second drawer. More papers, a bottle of cologne, a stack of photographs. Jennifer pulled out the photos. Her hands froze. The first photo showed Lawrence on a yacht, his arm around a woman in a white bikini. Both of them were holding champagne glasses, laughing. The second photo showed him at a casino, surrounded by men in suits, a pile of poker chips in front of him. The third photo was dated 2 months ago, Lawrence standing in front of a brand-new Tesla, grinning like a kid on Christmas morning. Jennifer's breath caught in her throat. 2 months ago. 2 months ago, she'd been working the overnight cleaning shift and picking up weekend delivery routes because Lawrence told her the creditors were threatening to take his car. "If I lose my car, I lose everything," he'd said, his voice desperate. "I won't be able to get to meetings. I won't be able to rebuild. Please, Jennifer, just a little more." And she'd given it to him. She'd given him everything. While he bought a Tesla. Jennifer's hands started to shake. She shoved the photos back into the drawer and kept searching. In the bottom drawer, underneath a stack of old magazines, she found a folder. It was labeled Personal Confidential. Jennifer pulled it out and opened it. Inside were bank statements, dozens of them. Her heart pounded as she flipped through the pages. Lawrence Amy checking account. Balance, as of March 15, $487,230.18. Jennifer stopped breathing. She read the number again. She flipped to the next page. Lawrence Amy savings account. Balance, as of March 15, $521,078.54. Her vision blurred. She gripped the edge of the desk to keep from collapsing. He wasn't broke. He had over $1 million sitting in his accounts, and he had let her destroy herself. Jennifer kept flipping. Each page was another knife to the chest. Transfer to L.A. Holdings LLC $15,000. Transfer to Prestige Investments. Treedive. Null. Purchase. Rolex Submariner $12,500. Purchase. Four Seasons Resort, Maui $8,200. Transfer to Simone Taylor, $3,500. Simona. The name from last night. The woman he'd taken to Turks and Caicos. Jennifer's stomach turned. She thought she might be sick, but she didn't stop looking. She pulled out her phone and started taking pictures. Every page, every statement, every receipt, every transaction. Her hands were trembling so badly she could barely hold the phone steady, but she didn't stop. She took over 60 photos. When she finished, she carefully put everything back exactly the way she'd found it. She closed the drawer. She wiped her fingerprints off the desk with her sleeve. And then she walked out of the office, closed the door behind her, and stood in the hallway, shaking. Jennifer's phone buzzed. A text from Lawrence. "Hey, sweetheart. Lunch ran long. Can you pick up groceries on your way home? I'll send you a list. Thanks." A second text came through. "Also, I might need to borrow $600 tomorrow. The lawyer called about some outstanding fees. I'll pay you back soon, I promise." Jennifer stared at the messages. $600. He wanted $600 more, while he had over $1 million sitting in hidden accounts, while he bought Rolexes and took women on vacation, while he called her his slave. Jennifer's jaw tightened. She didn't respond. Instead, she opened her photos and scrolled through the evidence she'd just gathered. Bank statements, transactions, lies, all of it. Her thumb hovered over the share button. She could send these to her mother, to a lawyer, to the police, but not yet. She needed to be smart. She needed a plan. Jennifer opened her email and typed a message to Melissa Ornette. Subject: Update evidence gathered. Hi Melissa, I found his financial records. He's not in debt. He has over $1 million in his accounts. He's been lying to me for 3 years. I have photos of everything. I'll see you Thursday at 4 p.m. I'm ready to end this. Jennifer. She pressed send. Then she walked into the guest bathroom, locked the door, and slid down to the floor. And for the first time in 3 years, Jennifer let herself cry. Not because she was sad, but because she was angry, and because she finally understood what her mother had tried to tell her all along. You can't earn love from someone who sees you as a tool, but you can take back your life from someone who tried to steal it. Jennifer wiped her eyes. She stood up. She looked at herself in the mirror. Her face was swollen. Her eyes were red. But beneath the exhaustion, beneath the pain, there was something new. Fire. Lawrence had underestimated her. He thought she was too tired, too broken, too desperate for his approval to fight back. He was wrong, and he was about to find out just how wrong. Thursday at 4 p.m., Jennifer sat in a small conference room at Ornette and Associates law firm, her hands folded on the table in front of her. She had come straight from her hospital shift, still wearing her scrubs. Her hair was pulled back in a messy bun. She hadn't slept more than 3 hours in the past 2 nights. But her mind was sharp. Across from her sat Melissa Ornette, a woman in her mid-40s with kind eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. Next to her was David Kirkland, a financial advisor Melissa had brought in to help analyze the documents Jennifer had provided. David had been scrolling through Jennifer's phone for the past 20 minutes, studying the photos she'd taken of Lawrence's bank statements, receipts, and transactions. His face grew darker with every swipe. Finally, he set the phone down and looked at Jennifer. "Miss Amy," he said quietly, "I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest with me." Jennifer nodded. "Okay. Did your father ever show you any legal documents proving he was in debt? Loan agreements, court summons, letters from creditors?" Jennifer frowned. "No, he told me. He said he owed people money. He said if he didn't pay them back, he'd lose everything." "And you believed him," David said. "It wasn't a question." "He's my father," Jennifer whispered. Why would he lie about something like that? Melissa reached across the table and gently touched Jennifer's hand. Honey, there's something you need to understand. Your father didn't lie to you because he was desperate. He lied to you because it worked. Jennifer's chest tightened. What do you mean? David pulled out a notepad and clicked his pen. Based on the records you provided, here's what I found. Your father has 2 active checking accounts, 1 savings account, and at least 3 investment accounts under different LLC names. Combined, his liquid assets total approximately $1.2 million. Jennifer's breath caught. In addition, David continued, he owns a condo in Miami that's fully paid off, valued at around $350,000. He has a stock portfolio worth another $200,000. And he's been receiving quarterly dividend payments from a trust fund set up by his late brother payments that total about $18,000 a year. Jennifer felt like the room was spinning. But that's not all, David said, his voice careful. I also found records of gambling transactions. Your father has been a regular at 3 different casinos over the past 2 years. He's lost money, yes, about $60,000 total, but he's also won. Last year alone, he walked away with $80,000 in winnings. So, he's not in debt, Jennifer said, her voice hollow. Not even close, Melissa said. In fact, based on these records, your father is wealthier now than he was 3 years ago. Jennifer stared at the table. Her hands were shaking. Then why? She whispered. Why did he tell me he was drowning? Why did he let me work 5 jobs? Why did he? Her voice broke. Melissa leaned forward. Because he could, Jennifer. Because you loved him. Because you wanted to believe he had changed, and because it was easier for him to use you than to spend his own money. David nodded. Men like your father are experts at manipulation. They find people with big hearts and exploit their compassion. They create crises that don't exist. They make you feel responsible for problems you didn't cause, and they do it all while maintaining plausible deniability. What does that mean? Jennifer asked. It means, Melissa said, that if you ever confronted him, he could say, I never forced you to help me. You offered. He could say, asterisk, I was emotional. I exaggerated. I didn't realize how much you were sacrificing. Asterisk. He could twist the narrative to make you look like the one who misunderstood. Jennifer felt a tear slide down her cheek. She wiped it away quickly. So what do I do? She asked. Melissa's expression hardened. You take back control. You separate your finances completely. You stop giving him access to anything, your money, your time, your energy. You document everything. And if necessary, you prepare to take legal action. Legal action? Jennifer's voice wavered. You mean sue him? Possibly, Melissa said, depending on how he responds when you cut him off. If he retaliates, if he tries to sabotage you financially or publicly, we can explore options for a civil suit based on financial elder abuse laws except in reverse. There's also potential fraud if he misrepresented his financial status in writing. David added, but more importantly, you need to protect yourself going forward. Open new bank accounts he doesn't know about. Redirect your paychecks. Change your passwords. Lock down your credit. Make sure he can't touch anything. Jennifer nodded slowly, her mind racing. And therapy, Melissa said gently. I'm serious, Jennifer. What your father did to you isn't just financial abuse. It's emotional abuse. He exploited your trauma. He weaponized your love. You're going to need support to process that. Jennifer looked down at her hands. They were still trembling. I just don't understand, she whispered. I'm his daughter. How could he do this to me? David's voice was quiet but firm. Because to him, you were never his daughter. You were a resource. The words landed like a sledgehammer. Jennifer closed her eyes. She thought about all the nights she'd worked until her body gave out, all the meals she'd skipped, all the dreams she'd put on hold, all the times she'd told herself, it's okay. He needs me. I'm helping him. I'm saving him. But she hadn't been saving him. She'd been funding him. Funding his luxury, his lies, his other life. "He called me his slave," Jennifer said, her voice breaking. "I heard him say it." And he laughed. Melissa's eyes filled with sympathy. "I'm so sorry, honey." Jennifer shook her head. "No, I don't want sympathy. I want to make sure he never does this to anyone else. I want to make sure he pays." Melissa smiled, not a happy smile, but a fierce one. "Then let's get to work." An hour later, Jennifer walked out of the law office with a folder full of documents, a list of action steps, and a referral to a therapist who specialized in family trauma. She sat in her car in the parking lot and stared at the folder. Inside were the beginnings of her freedom. Instructions for opening a new bank account. A template for a cease and contact letter. Contact information for a credit monitoring service. A safety plan in case Lawrence became aggressive. Jennifer opened her phone and looked at her bank account. Her next paycheck would hit tomorrow, and for the first time in 3 years, Lawrence wasn't going to touch a single penny of it. She opened a text thread with her mother, the one she hadn't replied to in 8 months. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. Finally, she typed, "Mama, you were right. About everything. I'm sorry I didn't listen. I'm getting out. I'm going to be okay." She pressed send. 3 minutes later, her phone rang. Her mother's voice came through, thick with tears. "Baby, I've been praying for this day." Jennifer closed her eyes and let herself cry. "I love you, Mama." "I love you too, baby, and I'm so proud of you." That night, Jennifer came home to the penthouse late. Lawrence was in the living room, watching television, a glass of bourbon in his hand. "Hey, sweetheart," he said without looking up. "Where've you been? I texted you." "I had an appointment," Jennifer said. "Everything okay?" "Yeah," she lied. "Everything's fine." Lawrence finally looked at her. "You seem tired. You should rest more." Jennifer stared at him. This man, this liar, this thief. He looked so comfortable, so unbothered, so convinced she would never wake up. "I'll rest soon," Jennifer said quietly, and she walked to her room, locked the door, and began packing. Not everything, just enough. Because soon, very soon, she was going to disappear from his life. And when she did, his whole world was going to collapse. Over the next 2 weeks, Jennifer became a ghost. She was still physically present in Lawrence's penthouse, sleeping in the guest room, keeping her things in the closet, passing him in the hallway, but emotionally, she had already left. She just hadn't told him yet. Every morning, she woke up at 3:30 a.m., went to work, came home exhausted. On the surface, nothing had changed. But beneath the surface, everything had. Day 3, after the lawyer meeting. Jennifer opened a new bank account at a credit union across town, one Lawrence had never heard of. She used her mother's address for the statements. She set up direct deposit for her hospital paycheck to go into the new account instead of the joint one. When the first deposit hit, she stared at the balance on her phone. $1,840. It was hers. All of it. For the first time in 3 years, Lawrence couldn't touch it. Jennifer felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Control. Day 6. She changed every password on every account she had: email, phone bill, credit cards, even her grocery store rewards account. She enabled 2-factor authentication. She locked down her credit report so no one could open new accounts in her name. She was building walls. High ones. Day 9. Jennifer quit 3 of her 5 jobs. She kept her hospital position and 1 weekend freelance gig, just enough to cover her expenses once she moved out. But the cleaning job, the grocery store, the food delivery service? Done. Her manager at the cleaning company sounded confused. "You sure? You've been with us for 2 years." "I'm sure," Jennifer said. She didn't explain. She didn't owe anyone an explanation. For the first time in years, she had her evenings back. She had time. and she used that time to plan. Day 12. Jennifer met with a therapist named Dr. Renee Lang. Dr. Lang was a black woman in her 50s with silver locks and a calm, steady presence. She didn't rush Jennifer. She just listened. Jennifer told her everything: the jobs, the lies, the overheard phone call, the bank statements. When she finished, Dr. Lang leaned forward and said, "Jennifer, do you know what trauma bonding is?" Jennifer shook her head. "It's when someone uses cycles of abuse and reward to keep you emotionally attached to them," Dr. Lang explained. "Your father abandoned you. As a child, that was the wound. Then he came back and offered you something you'd always wanted: his presence, his attention, his need for you. That was the reward. But the reward came with a cost. Your labor, your money, your selfhood. And every time you tried to pull away, he created a new crisis to pull you back in." Jennifer's throat tightened. "You weren't weak for staying, Doctor," Lang said gently. "You were human. You wanted your father to love you. That's not a flaw. That's normal. But he used that longing as a weapon." Jennifer wiped her eyes. "How do I stop wanting it?" "You don't stop wanting it, Doctor," Lang said. "You grieve it. You grieve the father you deserved and never had. And then you build a life where you don't need his approval to know you're worthy." Jennifer nodded, her chest aching. "And Jennifer," Dr. Lang added, "the fact that you're here, that you're fighting back, that you're taking your life back, that's not weakness. That's courage." Day 14. Lawrence started to notice. Jennifer came home one evening after her therapy session and found him sitting in the living room, waiting for her. "Hey," he said, his tone casual, "you're home early." Jennifer's stomach dropped. She'd told him she had a doctor's appointment. Technically, it wasn't a lie. "Yeah," she said. "It didn't take long." Lawrence studied her. "You've been going to a lot of appointments lately." "Just routine stuff," Jennifer said, keeping her voice light. Lawrence took a sip of his whiskey. "You've also been different." Jennifer's pulse quickened. "Different how?" "I don't know." He tilted his head. "Distant. Quiet. You're not picking up extra shifts anymore. You turned down that overnight cleaning gig I told you about." "I needed a break," Jennifer said carefully. "A break." Lawrence's smile didn't reach his eyes. "From what? You love working. You've always said it makes you feel productive." Jennifer had never said that. He'd said it, and she'd never corrected him. "I'm just tired, Dad," she said. "Tired?" Lawrence repeated. He set his glass down. "Jennifer, is something going on? Are you upset with me?" The question was a trap. She could feel it. If she said yes, he'd demand to know why. He'd twist her words. He'd guilt her. If she said no, he'd press harder. So she did something she'd learned from him. She lied. "No," Jennifer said, forcing a smile. "I'm not upset, I promise. I've just been stressed about work. That's all." Lawrence's eyes narrowed slightly, but then he nodded. "Okay. Well, if you need to talk, I'm here." "I know," Jennifer said. "Thanks, Dad." She walked to her room, closed the door, and exhaled. Her hands were shaking. He was getting suspicious. She needed to move faster. That night, Jennifer lay in bed and opened her phone. She scrolled through apartment listings. Studio apartments. 1-bedrooms. Anything she could afford on her hospital salary alone. She found one. A small studio, 15 minutes from work, $950 a month. Available immediately. Jennifer filled out the application. By morning, she had an interview scheduled with the landlord. By the end of the week, she'd signed the lease. Move-in date, 3 weeks from today. Day 16. Lawrence tried again. They were sitting at dinner takeout he'd ordered and she'd picked up. He was eating steak. She was eating the side salad. "Jennifer," he said, wiping his mouth with a napkin. "I've been thinking." "About what?" "About us. About everything you've done for me." He reached across the table and took her hand. I don't say it enough, but I'm grateful. You saved my life, baby girl. I mean that." Jennifer looked down at his hand on hers. 3 weeks ago, those words would have filled her with warmth. Now, they made her skin crawl. "You don't have to thank me," she said quietly. "Yes, I do." His grip tightened. "And I want you to know things are turning around. I've got some deals in the pipeline. Big ones. By the end of the year, I'll be back on top. And when I am, I'm going to take care of you the way you've taken care of me." Jennifer forced herself to smile. "That's great, Dad." "I mean it," Lawrence said. "You won't have to work so hard anymore. You can go back to school. Follow your dreams. I'll support you." Lies. Every word. She could see it now. The performance. The manipulation. The empty promises, designed to keep her leashed. But she didn't argue. She just nodded and said, "I'd like that." And Lawrence smiled, satisfied. He thought he still had her. He had no idea she was already gone. That night, Jennifer sat on the floor of her room and made a list. Things to do before I leave. Open new bank account. Redirect paycheck. Change all passwords. Sign lease on new apartment. Pack essentials. Write a goodbye letter. Block his number after I leave. Tell Mama I'm safe. She stared at number 6. Did she owe him a letter? Did she owe him an explanation? Dr. Lang's voice echoed in her mind. "You don't owe your abuser closure. You owe yourself freedom." Jennifer crossed out #6. She didn't owe him anything. Jennifer is 3 weeks away from freedom, but Lawrence is starting to suspect something. Have you ever had to hide your escape plan from someone because you knew they'd try to stop you? What gave you the strength to keep going? Drop a comment. Your story might help someone else find their courage. Moving day. Jennifer had planned it down to the minute. Lawrence had told her 3 days ago that he'd be out of town this weekend, a business trip to Miami. She knew what that really meant. Another vacation with one of his girlfriends, funded by the money he'd saved by using her. But for once, his selfishness worked in her favor. Saturday morning, 8 a.m., Jennifer stood in the guest room of the penthouse with 2 suitcases, 3 boxes, and her best friend Shayna by her side. Shayna had driven over the moment Jennifer called her. She didn't ask questions. She didn't say, "I told you so." She just showed up. "That everything?" Shayna asked, picking up one of the boxes. Jennifer looked around the room, the bed she'd barely slept in, the dresser that held clothes she'd worn into the ground, the corner where she used to sit on the floor and cry after 18-hour shifts. "Yeah," Jennifer said quietly. "That's everything." She hadn't taken much. Just her clothes, some books, her laptop, and a few personal items. Everything else, the furniture, the dishes, the decorations, had been bought with money she'd earned. But she didn't want any of it. She wanted to leave this place with nothing that tied her to him. Shayna touched her shoulder. "You ready?" Jennifer nodded. "Let's go." By noon, Jennifer was standing in her new studio apartment. It was small. The paint on the walls was chipped. The kitchen was the size of a closet. The bathroom tiles were cracked. But it was hers. No one could take it from her. No one could guilt her in it. No one could call her a slave inside these walls. Shayna helped her unpack. They didn't talk much. They didn't need to. The silence between them was comfortable, familiar. When the last box was emptied, Shayna pulled 2 sodas from the mini-fridge and handed one to Jennifer. "To freedom," Shayna said, raising her can. Jennifer smiled a real smile, the first one in weeks. To freedom. They clinked cans and drank. Then Jennifer's phone buzzed. Her stomach dropped. It was a text from Lawrence. "Hey, sweetheart. Flight got delayed. I'm coming home early. Should be back by 4. Want me to pick up dinner?" Jennifer's hands went cold. It was 12:30. She had 3.5 hours before he came home and realized she was gone. "Shit," Shayna whispered, reading over her shoulder. "What are you going to do?" Jennifer stared at the message. She could ignore it. She could block him. She could disappear. Or she could face him. Her thumbs moved across the screen before she could second-guess herself. I'm not there anymore. I moved out. Don't contact me. She pressed send. Then she turned off her phone. 3 hours later, there was a knock at her door. Jennifer froze. She was sitting on the floor of her apartment, assembling a bookshelf, when the sound cut through the silence like a gunshot. Shayna, who'd been organizing the kitchen, looked at her. You expecting someone? Jennifer shook her head. The knock came again, harder this time. Then a voice, loud, familiar, furious. Jennifer, open this door. Lawrence. Jennifer's heart slammed against her ribs. How did he find you? Shayna whispered. Jennifer's mind raced. The lease. She'd used her real name. The address was public record. He must have called the landlord, lied, said he was her father, and there was an emergency. Of course he found her. Men like Lawrence always did. Jennifer! Lawrence pounded on the door. I know you're in there. Open the damn door. Shayna moved toward her. You don't have to let him in. I know, Jennifer said, but she stood up anyway, because she realized something in that moment. She wasn't afraid of him anymore. She was angry. Jennifer walked to the door, unlocked it, and opened it halfway. Lawrence stood in the hallway, his face red, his chest heaving. He was still wearing his expensive suit, his designer watch, his polished shoes. He looked like a man used to being obeyed. But Jennifer didn't move. What the hell is this? Lawrence demanded, gesturing at the apartment. You moved out? Without telling me? I told you, Jennifer said calmly. I texted you. A text. Lawrence's voice rose. You don't leave your family with a text, Jennifer. You're not my family, Jennifer said. The words came out steady, cold, final. Lawrence blinked. What? You're not my family, Jennifer repeated. Family doesn't use each other. Family doesn't lie. Family doesn't call their daughter a slave. Lawrence's face went pale. You heard that? I heard everything, Jennifer said. I heard you laugh about me. I heard you brag about how I work 5 jobs while you live like a king. I heard you tell your friends, I'm too tired to notice you stealing from me. Lawrence's mouth opened, then closed. He looked like a man searching for the right lie. Jennifer, that was, he started. Don't, Jennifer cut him off. Don't insult me by pretending it was a joke. Don't tell me I misunderstood. I know exactly what you are. I'm your father, Lawrence said, his voice breaking. No, Jennifer said. A father protects his child. A father sacrifices for them, not because of them. You're not my father. You're a con artist who saw an easy mark. Lawrence's face twisted. The mask cracked. After everything you did? Jennifer's voice shook with rage. You didn't do anything. I did everything. I worked myself into the ground for you. I gave up my life, my health, my dreams for you, and the whole time you were laughing at me. I never asked you to work that hard, Lawrence shouted. Yes, you did, Jennifer screamed back. You cried, you begged, you told me you'd lose everything if I didn't help. You lied to me. I was struggling. You have over $1 million. Jennifer's voice cracked. I saw the bank statements, Lawrence. I saw the receipts, the vacations, the cars, the jewelry, the women. You were never struggling. You just didn't want to spend your own money. Lawrence's jaw clenched. His eyes went dark. And there it was. The truth. He didn't deny it. He didn't apologize. He just stared at her with cold, naked contempt. So what? He said quietly. You think you're better than me now? You think leaving me makes you strong? No, Jennifer said. Staying made me strong. Surviving you made me strong. Leaving just makes me free. Lawrence laughed bitterly. Free? You're nothing without me, Jennifer. You're a hospital worker living in a shithole apartment. You'll be broke in 6 months. Maybe, Jennifer said, but I'll be broke and free, and you'll still be a liar. Lawrence stepped forward. You ungrateful. Don't, Shayna's voice cut in from behind Jennifer. She stepped into view, phone in hand. "Don't take another step. I'm recording this, and if you threaten her, I'm calling the police." Lawrence froze. His eyes flicked to the phone, then back to Jennifer. "You're really doing this," he said. "I already did it," Jennifer replied. For a long moment, Lawrence just stood there, breathing hard. Then he shook his head. "You'll regret this." "No," Jennifer said softly. "I regret the 3 years I wasted on you. But this is the first thing I've done right in a long time." She stepped back and closed the door. Lawrence stood on the other side, silent. Then she heard his footsteps, heavy, slow, fading, and then he was gone. Jennifer locked the door, turned around, and slid down to the floor. Her whole body was shaking. Shayna sat down beside her and pulled her into a hug. "You did it," Shayna whispered. Jennifer nodded, tears streaming down her face. She had done it. She had faced him, and she had won. The first week after the confrontation, Jennifer felt invincible. She went to work with her head high. She slept in her own bed, a twin mattress on the floor, but hers. She ate ramen by choice, not necessity. She started going to therapy twice a week. She felt lighter, free. But Lawrence wasn't done with her yet. Day 4, after the confrontation. Jennifer's phone started ringing at 6 a.m. Unknown number. She ignored it. It rang again, and again. By the 5th call, she answered. "Hello." Silence. Then a click. Her stomach twisted. Over the next 2 days it happened 17 more times. Calls from numbers she didn't recognize. Sometimes silence. Sometimes heavy breathing. Once she heard Lawrence's voice in the background before the line went dead. He was trying to rattle her. It was working. Day 7. Jennifer came home from her shift to find an envelope taped to her apartment door. No stamp. No return address. Just her name, written in Lawrence's handwriting. Her hands trembled as she opened it. Inside was a single sheet of paper. "You were nothing before me. You'll be nothing after me. Don't forget who gave you a roof over your head when no one else wanted you." Jennifer crumpled the letter and threw it in the trash. But the words stayed with her. No one else wanted you. She tried to tell herself it wasn't true, but a small, wounded part of her wondered if it was. Day 10. Jennifer got a message from an old co-worker at the hospital. "Hey, is everything okay? Someone called HR asking about your employment status. Said they were your father and that you'd stolen money from him. They wanted to know if you were still working here." Jennifer's blood ran cold. He was trying to get her fired. She immediately contacted HR and explained the situation. She provided them with Melissa's contact information and a brief summary of the abuse. The HR director was sympathetic but firm. "We can't stop people from calling, but we also won't disclose any information without your consent. Just be careful, Jennifer. Document everything. Document everything." That's what Melissa had said too. Jennifer felt like she was living in a war zone. Day 12. Lawrence started posting on social media. He didn't name Jennifer directly, but the implications were clear. "It's heartbreaking when the people you help the most turn their backs on you. I gave my daughter everything, and she repaid me with betrayal, praying for her." The post had over 100 likes. Comments poured in. "Stay strong, Lawrence. Family can be so ungrateful. She'll regret it one day." Jennifer stared at the screen, her chest tightening. He was rewriting history, painting himself as the victim, and people were believing him. She wanted to scream. She wanted to comment, to tell the truth, to expose him. But Melissa had warned her, "Don't engage. It's what he wants. He wants you to look unstable, emotional, irrational. Stay silent. Let him bury himself." So Jennifer closed the app, but the damage was done. She felt the walls closing in. Day 14. Jennifer broke. She came home after a long shift, exhausted and emotionally drained. She hadn't eaten all day. She sat down on the floor of her tiny apartment and just cried. Not quiet tears. Sobbing. Ugly. Guttural. She cried for the little girl who waited by the window for a father who never came. She cried for the woman who worked herself to the bone, believing love had to be earned. She cried because even though she'd escaped, part of her still felt trapped. Trapped by his voice in her head. Trapped by the shame. Trapped by the fear that maybe he was right, maybe she was nothing without him. Her phone rang. She almost didn't answer, but she saw the name on the screen. Mama. Jennifer wiped her face and picked up. Hi, Mama. Baby. Her mother's voice was soft, full of knowing. You sound like you're drowning. Jennifer's throat tightened. I'm okay. No, you're not. Her mother paused. He's getting to you, isn't he? Jennifer didn't answer. She didn't have to. Listen to me, her mother said firmly. That man is a liar. He's a manipulator. And he's terrified. Terrified? Jennifer's voice was hollow. He doesn't seem terrified. He seems fine. He's posting online, calling people, trying to destroy me. Because you took away his power, her mother interrupted. You were the one thing keeping his world together, and now you're gone. He's spiraling, baby, and he wants to take you down with him. Jennifer closed her eyes. But you're not going down, her mother continued. You hear me? You've been through hell, and you're still standing. That makes you stronger than he'll ever be. I don't feel strong, Jennifer whispered. Strength isn't a feeling, baby. It's a choice. And every day you wake up and choose yourself over him, that's strength. Jennifer felt fresh tears slide down her cheeks. I'm proud of you, her mother said, her voice breaking. I'm so proud of you. I love you, Mama. I love you too, baby. And you're going to be okay, I promise. After they hung up, Jennifer sat in the silence of her apartment. She looked around, at the bare walls, the second-hand furniture, the life she was building from scratch. It wasn't much, but it was hers. And no matter how loud Lawrence screamed, no matter how many lies he told, he couldn't take that away from her. Jennifer stood up. She walked to the bathroom and looked at herself in the mirror. Her eyes were swollen. Her face was blotchy. She looked exhausted. But she also looked alive. She whispered to her reflection, he doesn't get to win. That night, Jennifer opened her journal, a new one she'd bought at the dollar store, and she wrote, I am not nothing. I am not a slave. I am not defined by his lies. I am a woman who survived, and I will keep surviving every single day. She closed the journal, and for the first time in 2 weeks, she slept through the night. 3 weeks after the confrontation, Jennifer sat in Dr. Lang's office, staring at the tissue box on the table between them. He's not stopping, Jennifer said quietly. The calls, the messages, the posts, he's everywhere. Dr. Lang leaned forward. What do you want to do about it? Jennifer looked up. I don't know. Part of me wants to just disappear, change my number, delete my social media, pretend he never existed. And the other part, Jennifer's jaw tightened, the other part wants to make sure he can never do this to me again. Dr. Lang nodded slowly. Jennifer, you have options. Legal options. You don't have to live in fear. A restraining order? Jennifer asked. If the harassment continues, yes, it's worth considering. Jennifer had thought about it. Melissa had mentioned it too. But part of her hesitated. A restraining order felt so final. Like admitting her father was truly dangerous. Like admitting she'd never been safe with him at all. I know it's hard, Dr. Lang said gently. But protecting yourself isn't cruel. It's necessary. Jennifer nodded, her throat tight. There's something else I want you to consider, Dr. Lang added. Have you thought about telling your story? Jennifer frowned. What do you mean? There are support groups, online communities. Spaces where people share their experiences with family estrangement, financial abuse, trauma bonding. You don't have to do it publicly. But sometimes, speaking your truth out loud to people who understand can be incredibly healing. Jennifer had never considered that. She'd spent 3 years hiding her pain, pretending everything was fine. The idea of saying it out loud to strangers felt terrifying, but also freeing. "I'll think about it," Jennifer said. That night, Jennifer made a list. She sat on the floor of her apartment with a notebook and a pen, and she wrote down everything she needed to do to take back control. 1. Block Lawrence's number permanently. 2. File a restraining order if harassment continues. 3. Join a support group, online or in person. 4. Take a full day off. Just for me. She stared at number 4. A full day off. She couldn't remember the last time she'd had one. Even on her so-called days off, she'd been running errands for Lawrence, picking up his dry cleaning, managing his bills, working a side gig. She had never just rested. Jennifer circled number 4. This week, she wrote, next to it, "I'm doing this." Day 1. The block. Jennifer opened her phone and scrolled to Lawrence's contact. Her thumb hovered over the block button. For a moment, she hesitated. Blocking him felt like slamming a door she could never reopen. But then she remembered his voice on that phone call. "She's basically my personal slave." She remembered the bank statements, the lies, the manipulation. She remembered the little girl who waited by the window, believing her father would come back if she was just good enough. That little girl deserved better. Jennifer pressed block. Then she blocked him on every platform, social media, email, messaging apps. One by one, she erased him from her digital life. When she was done, she set her phone down and exhaled. It was done. He couldn't reach her anymore. Day 3. The support group. Jennifer found an online support group for survivors of family estrangement and financial abuse. The first meeting was on a Wednesday night at 7 p.m., held over video call. Jennifer almost didn't join. She sat at her laptop, staring at the link, her finger hovering over the mouse. What if they judge me? What if they think I was stupid for staying? What if I'm not abused enough to be here? But then she thought about what Dr. Lang had said. You deserve to be heard. Jennifer clicked the link. There were 12 people on the call. Different ages, different backgrounds, different stories. But the same pain. One woman talked about her mother, who'd drained her savings and then blamed her for being selfish. A man talked about his brother, who'd taken out credit cards in his name and disappeared. A younger woman talked about her father, who'd used her college fund to pay off gambling debts. And then it was Jennifer's turn. She hesitated. Then she took a breath. "My name is Jennifer," she said, "and my father, he convinced me to work 5 jobs to pay off debts that didn't exist. I heard him call me his slave, and it took me 3 years to realize he never loved me. He just used me." Her voice cracked, "and I'm still trying to figure out how to be okay with that." The screen was silent for a moment. Then one of the women spoke. Her voice was soft but firm. "You are okay, Jennifer. You're here. You got out. That's more than okay. That's survival." Others nodded, typed messages in the chat. "You're so strong. Thank you for sharing. You're not alone." Jennifer felt tears slide down her cheeks. For the first time in years, she didn't feel ashamed. She felt seen. Day 5, the day off. Jennifer woke up on Saturday morning and did something she hadn't done in 3 years. Nothing. She didn't set an alarm. She didn't check her bank account. She didn't rush to get dressed. She just lay there, in her bed, in her apartment, in the quiet. At 9 a.m., she got up, made herself breakfast, real breakfast, not a protein bar, and sat by the window with a cup of coffee. She watched the street below, People walking dogs, kids riding bikes, the world moving at its own pace. And for the first time in years, Jennifer felt like she was part of it. Not running, not surviving, just living. Later that afternoon, Jennifer did something she'd dreamed about for years. She went to the bookstore, not to browse quickly between shifts, not to pick up something practical, just to be there. She wandered the aisles slowly, running her fingers along the spines. She picked up books, read the back covers, put them down. She found a chair in the corner and sat with a novel she'd been wanting to read for months. She stayed for 2 hours. No one rushed her. No one needed her. No one called her name. When she finally left, she bought the book. It was $18, money she would have given to Lawrence a month ago. But today, it was hers. That night, Jennifer sat on her floor with the book in her lap and smiled. It was a small thing, a single day, a single choice, but it felt like the beginning of something bigger. She opened her journal and wrote, "Today, I chose myself, not because I had to, because I wanted to." And it felt like freedom. Jennifer's phone buzzed. A text from Shayna. "Hey, you okay? Haven't heard from you in a few days?" Jennifer smiled and typed back, "I'm good. Really good. Let's get lunch this week?" "Yes, I'm so proud of you, Jen." Jennifer set her phone down and looked around her apartment. It was small. It was imperfect. But it was hers. And she was building a life here. One day, one choice, one breath at a time. Lawrence had tried to destroy her, but she was still standing, and she wasn't going anywhere. 2 years later, Jennifer stood in front of the mirror in her bathroom, adjusting the collar of her navy blue scrubs. But these scrubs were different. They weren't the faded, stained ones she used to wear as a patient aide. These were embroidered with her name and a new title. Jennifer, Amy, PT, Student Physical Therapy Department. She'd done it. After 2 years of saving, planning, and healing, she'd gone back to school. She was 6 months into her physical therapy program, working part-time at the hospital in a role she actually loved, and living in a modest one-bedroom apartment she'd moved into last year. Her life wasn't perfect, but it was hers. She had friends now, real ones. She went to dinner with Shayna every Thursday. She attended her support group twice a month. She saw Dr. Lang once a week. She called her mother every Sunday and visited her once a month. She slept 7 hours a night. She ate 3 meals a day. She smiled without forcing it. Jennifer had built a life she didn't need to escape from, and Lawrence hadn't been part of it for 2 years. Until today. Jennifer's phone buzzed as she was grabbing her keys to leave for class. An email from an address she didn't recognize. Subject, "It's Dad. Please read." Her stomach dropped. She almost deleted it, but something made her open it. "Jennifer, I know I have no right to contact you. I know you block me everywhere, but I didn't know how else to reach you. I'm not doing well. The business is gone. The penthouse is gone. I lost everything. I'm living in a rental across town, and I'm barely getting by. I'm not asking for money. I'm not asking you to fix me. I just want to talk. Just once. I need to say some things I should have said a long time ago. Please. There's a coffee shop on 5th and Main. I'll be there Saturday at 2 p.m. If you come, I'll be grateful. If you don't, I'll understand. Dad." Jennifer stared at the screen. Her first instinct was to delete it. Her second instinct was to forward it to Melissa and ask what to do. But her third instinct, the one that surprised her, was curiosity. Not hope, not longing. Just curiosity. She wanted to see him. Not because she missed him, but because she wanted to see who she'd become in his absence. She wanted to prove to herself that he didn't have power over her anymore. Saturday, 1:55 p.m. Jennifer sat in her car outside the coffee shop, her hands resting on the steering wheel. She'd told Shayna where she was going. She'd texted Dr. Lang. She had an exit plan if things went bad. But more than that, she had clarity. She wasn't the woman who'd left his penthouse 2 years ago, shaking and heartbroken. She was stronger now, steadier, free. Jennifer took a breath, got out of the car, and walked inside. Lawrence was sitting in the corner booth, his back to the wall. Jennifer barely recognized him. His hair was completely grey now. His face was thinner, more lined. He wore a faded polo shirt and jeans clothes she'd never seen him in. The designer suits were gone. The polished shoes were gone. He looked small. When he saw her, he stood up quickly, knocking his coffee cup and catching it before it spilled. "Jennifer," he said, his voice hoarse. "You came." "I did," Jennifer said. She didn't move closer. She didn't hug him. She just stood there. Lawrence gestured to the seat across from him. "Will you sit, please?" Jennifer hesitated. Then she sat down, but she kept her purse on her lap, her keys in her hand, ready to leave at any moment. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Lawrence stared at his coffee. Jennifer studied him. "You look good," Lawrence finally said. "Healthy." "I am," Jennifer said simply. "I heard you went back to school." Jennifer's eyes narrowed. "How did you hear that?" "I still know some people at the hospital," Lawrence admitted. "I asked around. I wanted to know you were okay." Jennifer didn't respond. Lawrence exhaled slowly. "I'm not going to waste your time with excuses. I know what I did. I know how I treated you. And I know I don't deserve forgiveness." "You don't," Jennifer said. Lawrence flinched, but he nodded. "I was a terrible father. I used you. I lied to you. I took advantage of your kindness and your love, and I treated you like you were nothing. You called me your slave," Jennifer said, her voice even, "to your friends, while I was working myself to death for you." "I know." Lawrence's voice cracked. "I know. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Jennifer watched him. There were tears in his eyes. His hands were shaking. 2 years ago, this moment would have broken her. She would have wanted to comfort him, to forgive him, to believe he'd changed. But now she just felt nothing. "Why did you want to see me?" Jennifer asked. Lawrence looked up at her. "Because I wanted you to know that you were right. About everything. I did use you. I did lie. And when you left, my whole world fell apart." "Good," Jennifer said. Lawrence blinked, startled. "I'm glad it fell apart," Jennifer continued, "because it was built on lies, on exploitation, on my pain. It deserved to fall apart." Lawrence nodded slowly. "It did. And I'm glad you're struggling," Jennifer said. "Not because I want you to suffer, but because for the first time in your life, you're facing consequences, real ones, and no one's there to save you." Lawrence's face crumpled. "I know. And I don't blame you for not being here. I don't expect you to save me. I wanted you to know that losing you was the worst thing that ever happened to me." "It wasn't losing me that hurt you," Jennifer said quietly. "It was losing your worker, your free labor, your personal ATM. That's what you lost." "No." "Yes," Jennifer interrupted. "Because if you'd actually loved me, you never would have used me in the first place." Lawrence opened his mouth, then closed it. Because he couldn't argue with the truth. Jennifer stood up. "Wait," Lawrence said, panic flashing across his face. "Please, just tell me, do you hate me?" Jennifer looked down at him. 2 years ago, she would have said yes. But now, "No," Jennifer said softly. "I don't hate you." Relief flickered in Lawrence's eyes. "But I don't love you either," Jennifer continued. "I don't feel anything for you. You're just a stranger who hurt me a long time ago." Lawrence's face fell. "I spent my whole life waiting for you to see me," Jennifer said. "To love me, to choose me. And you never did. So I chose myself, and I built a life without you. A good life. A free life." Her voice was steady. strong. I don't carry you anymore, Dad. I don't carry your guilt. I don't carry your expectations. I don't carry your pain. I put all of it down 2 years ago, and I'm never picking it back up. Lawrence stared at her, tears streaming down his face. I hope you figure your life out, Jennifer said. I really do. But it's not my job to fix you. It never was. She turned to leave. Jennifer, Lawrence called after her, his voice broken. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Jennifer paused at the door. She didn't turn around. I know, she said quietly. And then she walked out. Outside, the sun was shining. Jennifer stood on the sidewalk, breathing in the cool air. Her hands weren't shaking. Her chest wasn't tight. She felt light. She pulled out her phone and texted Shayna. I'm done. I'm free. Let's celebrate. Shayna's reply came instantly. I'm so proud of you. Dinner's on me tonight. Jennifer smiled. Then she texted her mother. I saw him. I told him the truth. And I walked away. I'm okay, Mama. I'm really okay. Her mother's response came through with a string of emojis, hearts, praying hands, and a crown. Then the words, That's my girl. I love you so much. Jennifer slipped her phone into her pocket and started walking toward her car. Behind her, the coffee shop door opened. She didn't look back. She didn't need to. Because the man sitting in that booth, broken, desperate, alone, wasn't her responsibility anymore. He was just a chapter in her story. And she was writing a new one. 6 months later, Jennifer stood in front of her class, presenting her final project for her physical therapy program. The room was full of professors, classmates, and guest evaluators. She was nervous, but she was also confident. Because she'd worked hard for this. She'd earned this. Not for anyone else. For herself. When she finished her presentation, the room erupted in applause. Her professor stood up and shook her hand. Excellent work, Jennifer. You should be very proud. I am, Jennifer said, and she meant it. That night, Jennifer sat in her apartment with a glass of sparkling cider, her acceptance letter to a prestigious PT internship program spread out on the table in front of her. She'd been accepted. Full ride. Starting in the fall, Jennifer picked up her journal and wrote, 2 years ago, I was a woman who believed she had to earn love by destroying herself. Today, I'm a woman who knows her worth isn't tied to anyone's approval. I am enough. I am free. And I am just getting started. She closed the journal, leaned back, and smiled. Somewhere across town, Lawrence was living with the consequences of his choices. But Jennifer was living her dreams, and nothing was going to stop her. Jennifer walked away from the man who tried to control her, and she built a life filled with peace, purpose, and power. If you've ever had to choose yourself over someone who hurt you, drop a comment below. What did freedom feel like for you? Let's celebrate survival together. You deserve it.
Thank you for watching this story to the end. If you love this story, you will surely enjoy the next one. It's crazier and more intriguing than you can ever imagine. So do check it out. Click on the image showing on your screen right now to watch the next one.